Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 336. The Abraham Family. Other than the master key and the silver pocket watch with inlaid diamonds which were taken by the thief, this place is still in the same state as what I'd seen in my dream. Klein looked around and saw black iron pots, glass jars, and bronze lampstands that had candles which had long since been extinguished. His spirit vision and spiritual perception told him that these were all very ordinary items. They didn't carry the slightest trace of a spiritual luster. But compared to before, there's still something extra. Klein reached out with his left black-gloved palm and touched the surface of the long table. His fingers were immediately stained with visible dust. After carefully and making some preliminary divinations, Klein failed to find any secret chambers or hidden compartments. Thus, he turned his attention to the brown notebook. Carefully flipping through it, the contents of the first page entered his eyes. This will go into the annals of the rise of a cursed family. I want to remember every key point. Future descendants, please remember every word that I've said. It's a pity that you lost control and died just moments after taking the Sequence 9 potion. The illustrious glory of the Abraham family can only remain as words. Klein lampooned under his breath and continued reading, quickly flipping through the pages. He planned to take the notebook away once he confirmed its value, not planning to stay any longer. We, the Abraham family, were one of the most powerful nobles of the Fourth Epoch. And we were the main supporters of the Tudor dynasty. In that era, be it Loans Augustus family, FACELESS Einhorn family, Intis's Sauron family, or Fainapotter's Castilla family, all of them looked up to us. Indeed, they weren't weak back then, but we were stronger. Even the rumored Antigonus family and the Zerito families were slightly weaker than us. Unfortunately, the glory of our family disappeared in the War of the Four Emperors. Ancestor Bethel went missing in that war where the deities personally fought. The remaining high sequence Beyonders all perished. Ever since then, our Abraham family has been under a terrible curse. Generations after generations of ancestors have attempted to revive our family, but without exception, all of them went mad and lost control. Some of them did so just before becoming a high sequence Beyonder or at sequence 7 and 8. And every case of losing control brings about a disaster that is close to annihilating the family. The accursed forget the family name carved in their bloodlines and hurt the other members of the family without restraint. They were already monsters. For the continuation of the family, the Abraham family made a painful decision to no longer live together. Instead, it split up into small families that migrated to various parts of the northern continent. That way, even if someone lost control and started a massacre, their bloodline wouldn't be cut off because of this. My father was afraid of the curse, so he chose to remain as an ordinary person. If it wasn't for the fact that the bloodline's last name is still ever shining, he wouldn't even be willing to tell me these things. I want to record this down. I want to keep it on my mind. I want to remember the glory and the disaster of the Abraham family. Every Beyonder generation would eventually lose control without exception. The curse of the Abraham family is even more terrifying than that of the City of Silver. Wait a minute, they should all be from the apprentice pathway. Could it be that they heard that Mr. Door's plea for help? This isn't a cry for help. It's clearly a life-depriving curse. However, according to Miss Magician's description, it isn't because she became an apprentice that she had heard those illusory ravings during the full moon, but because of her use of the bracelet on her wrist. Afterwards, she couldn't escape the ravings regardless of whether she wore it or not. And what's the reason for those Beyonders of the Abraham family? Perhaps the curse has nothing to do with Mr. Door? Well, the notebook mentioned that the ancestor of the Abraham family, Bethel Abraham, had disappeared in the War of the Four Emperors. Could he be Mr. Door? He was banished from the real world, lost in the darkness, and left trapped in a storm. There's a possibility that the easiest target to ask for help would naturally be descendants from the same bloodline who are of the same Beyonder pathway but of a relatively lower sequence. It's a pity that because all the powerful Beyonders had perished, his shouts only bring about a curse on the family that has lasted for more than 1,000 years, almost causing the whole Abraham family to disappear. Is this the reason why Mr. Dorr is so aware of the history of the fourth epoch and the details of the War of the Four Emperors? If my suspicions are true, I can only exclaim, the Abrahams really are an unfortunate family. I wonder if the things mentioned by the owner of the notebook were affected by the passage of time of over 1,000 years and the separation of the family, which might result in discrepancies. In the War of the Four Emperors, the deities actually personally participated in battle? Klein slightly frowned, and the speed at which he flipped the pages became faster and faster. Father, who chose to remain an ordinary person, ultimately succumbed to his disease. This dealt my mother a huge blow and she quickly departed with him. And that means I'm free. But what hurts me is that Father didn't tell me many things about Beyonders to prevent me from embarking down the cursed path. I have to come into contact with them myself and understand them. Thankfully, he didn't violate the orders of the Elder. He still handed me the potion formula of apprentice, trig master, and astrologer at his deathbed. I will repeat the 3 formulas to prevent myself from forgetting. Sequence 9, apprentice. Sequence 8, trig master. Sequence 7, astrologer. After Klein saw that, he pricked his eyebrows slightly, feeling that the trip tonight had been worthwhile, and that he hadn't wasted the purifying bullet. Of course, he still had to go above the gray fog to confirm its authenticity. Astrologer. The apprentice pathway actually has a divination series job as well. In that case, one of my speculations from the past might be closer to the truth. The seer pathway and the apprentice pathway might be interchangeable at high sequences. Klein nodded slightly and continued to flip through the pages. Although he had already determined the value of the notes, he didn't want to leave the scene for the time being. If the last few pages of the notebook noted that something had been hidden somewhere, he would definitely have to come back again. Since that was the case, why go through so much trouble? As the pages turned, Klein roughly figured out the Beyonder history of this Abraham descendant. After his parents died, he began trying to touch base with the mysticism circles to gather information about the sequence potions and purchase the corresponding Beyonder ingredients. After 2 years of hard work, recording many still unconfirmed mysticism knowledge, he finally succeeded and concocted the apprentice potion. At the end of the notebook, he wrote, "According to my knowledge of mysticism, the spirit world and the real world would overlap the most on the night of the full moon. That is the time when one's spirituality is at its best, and it is also the most suitable time to consume the potion and advance. I will become an apprentice by the next full moon. I need to get stronger, step by step, and reproduce the illustrious glory of the Abraham family. Once I reach sequence 7, I'll be able to contact the elders according to the regulations set by the family. I know the method of communication well, so this is a secret that cannot be recorded. Take a potion to advance yourself during the full moon." Klein was stunned for a moment. He couldn't help but tap his chest 4 times in a clockwise manner to draw the crimson moon. "May the goddess forgive you for your ignorance." Klein vaguely understood why the man had lost control on the spot. According to his speculation, the curse that had plagued the Abraham family for more than 1,000 years was probably related to Mr. Dorr's call for help during the full moon. And that guy actually chose to consume the apprentice potion on the night of the full moon. In that case, it was highly likely that he would hear that illusory mumbles while the effects of the potion had yet to fade, and his spirituality was in a very unstable state. As such, he exploded with a bang. Fortunately, the hormesis phlegria that I heard back then wasn't lethal. Klein subconsciously sighed. Then, he thought of the oddity of the master key and vaguely came up with a hunch. The formation of the master key stems not only from the condensation of an apprentice's Beyonder characteristic but also from Mr. Dorr's illusory ravings. Thus, the occasional problem of causing the holder to be lost becomes rather dangerous. It often allows the holder to enter inappropriate situations. This can be considered a kind of curse. And taking everything into consideration, Mr. Dorr being the ancestor of the Abraham family, Bethel, is quite possible. Phew! Klein exhaled when he saw that there was no information about any hidden treasures. He took the brown notebook and left the basement. As he dropped Azek's copper whistle, he retraced the same path he took to get there. When he reached the balcony, he raised his left hand and snapped his fingers. The scattered matches on the stairs lit up with a crimson light. They soon extinguished, leaving only minor burn marks. After taking a detour to East Borough to get rid of his disguise, Klein returned to Minsk Street before midnight. He went above the gray fog and used spirit dowsing to confirm the authenticity of the 3 formulas. Soon after, he tried to conjure the fake world opposite him on the modeled long table. Klein was about to manipulate him when he suddenly raised his hand and smacked his forehead. "I almost forgot. I brought the all-black guy back to the real world." After going through the trouble, he made the world appear in the majestic palace and changed the surroundings to look like that of an ordinary room. Then, he made the world pose piously as he said with a hoarse voice, "The fool that doesn't belong to this era. Please tell Miss Magician that I've already obtained the Trick Master Potion formula. I hope that she can exchange it for items in the Sun domain which are good at purification and exorcism. If the value isn't equal, then I'm willing to make up for it with additional gold pounds." After manipulating the world, Klein turned the scene into a ball of light and transmitted it to the crimson star representing the magician. He clearly remembered that during the last time Miss Zio had found someone to purify and exorcise her, Miss Magician had also been present,